1960s, giving good time off sentences to violent offenders simply for behaving in prison. It is a travesty of justice, and it has come to a time to put it to an end.
Absolutely.
We cannot continue to be releasing violent offenders into our community and giving them literally up to 17 days off per month every month. The legislature needs to find a better way to balance the budget. When the justice system fails victims and victims' families, as it has here today with the Foremans, that is when lawlessness breaks out, when we lose faith in our elected officials. Tell the people at the legislature now, for violent felons, no more good time.
No more good time.
No more good time. No more good time. No more good time. Thank you very much.
Eric Wallen. Folks, this is a time to speak out. You contact your representatives. Children in Rhode Island should be safe, and no child should have to go through what these families have gone through. So our message is very clear today. Our state officials need to step forward, protect the community, and protect the children of Rhode Island in that community. Please welcome to the podium. She is a nurse. She is a mother. Will Leah please come up and address our crowd this afternoon? We're going to have a variety of different speakers. We'll have Leah come up and address the crowd.
Good afternoon. My name is Leah Inuccelli. I'm a retired registered nurse. And what just brought it home, I was going to say something different, but as I drove in here, it reminded me of when I was in nursing school. I did my psychiatric nursing right down the street here. And I thought to myself, medicine has evolved. A serial killer has always been a serial killer, and that we knew way back when. It's too bad our lawmakers haven't evolved along with the medicine. More importantly, I think that we need to understand that this person, it's in his DNA. I hope that we have a forensic or several forensic psychiatrists that will really evaluate this. I'm glad that they are going to allow the diary in. It's very important. And I think that we should keep on top of this and just what Mr. Eric Wald had just said. We can't let these people out on the street. I think we could bring it home to you. More importantly is, if you've ever watched To Catch a Predator, you realize that it is a repeat offense. Like I said, it's in their DNA, and there's no rehabilitation for anyone like that. They need to be under lock and key, and our lawmakers have to not worry about the casino, gay marriage, or how much it's going to cost to go to the beach, because, right? Because we'll have a predator roaming the beach. Because in a halfway house, you're also allowed to be out. You can work. I mean, you're not monitored 24/7. And with technology the way it is today, they'll find a way around it. So you have to be vigilant, and I'm really, as a grandparent, I'm really, really upset over this. And I think that all of us can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Folks, it is unacceptable that this family and the community down in Wakefield, Peacedale, should have to go through what they're going through right now. And elected officials, Attorney General Peter Kilmartin, other elected officials at the State House should step forward. It is an insult to the children of Rhode Island that someone that committed this type of crime should get out on good behavior. It is an insult to everyone that has stood up. It is time for our elected officials to step forward and defend the people of Rhode Island. So people may ask, what is our message this afternoon? And our message is simple. Do not let evil out into the community. Instead, lock him up. Lock him up.
Keep him
locked up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out this afternoon. We're going to have some elected representatives coming in just a little while. Thank you. Right now, many of you that listen to me on the radio know of someone that calls. He is a father. He is a community leader. I would like Peter Anthony to come up to the podium and address the crowd this afternoon. I know he is here. Here he comes. Folks, let's have a round of applause for Peter Anthony.
Thank you, John. You may recall the words of Vice Presidential candidate Admiral Stockdale, who said, "Who am I? Why am I here?" Well, we're American citizens, and we're here because the justice system in our state and our country is betraying us. The fact that we even have to be here is testimony that the system is broken. When criminals were once vilified and punished, and rightfully so, now our justice system and government is on the side of the criminal, showing more concern for the perpetrator than the victim and their families. The police work hard to track down and arrest suspects, only to see them coddled and back on the street with good time. Good time for a serial killer. And if you don't believe me, just ask a cop. Jason's disappearance and murder was at the beginning of a trend in our country when kids couldn't freely ride their bikes anymore or walk to the ball field free of fear. And why? Right behind us is a population of barbaric molesters. Molesters who will get out, and the state website will tell you, likely to offend again. Why in the world would they let out anyone who will likely attack an innocent child? Who is protecting these innocent children? Unfortunately, not our state or our country. And any society that does not protect their children has no future. No future at all. Because it sold it out. It's time that we stand up. I'm so glad so many people came out in this terrible weather. The heavens are weeping today for Jason and for all the children that are not being protected. Thank you very much.
Folks, I want to recognize also the Sherman family here. A round of applause for the courage that they have shown. Dale Sherman speaking up. So many people affected by this. All the children of Rhode Island and the families and the media that is gathered. I want you to look out at some of the children that are here. And I commend the parents, and I want to have a round of applause for the parents and the children that came out today. Because this is about children. This is about families. What kind of state are we living in where they would risk having a predator come out, affecting and going after the children of Rhode Island? How much more should we put up with? We have bad roads, the worst bridges, high taxes, and we're calling on Governor Chafee, do something to protect the children of Rhode Island for once. Our message is loud to Attorney General Peter Kilmartin. No early release.
No early release.
No early release. No early release. No early release. No early release. No early release. Give yourselves a round of applause this afternoon. If Deborah Lee is here. Please check in right here at the stage. We have Representative Peter Palumbo is going to be coming shortly. Folks, this is a time in Rhode Island to be engaged. I also want to recognize, and everyone should know, he is the person that spoke out. He showed courage. His voice was heard around the world. The world is watching us. The world is paying attention because of the courage shown by my friend, John Foreman, who is right here. And I want a round of applause for John Foreman.
John, thank you, John. Thank you for bringing this to the attention that it needs, John. I never thought 28 years ago that I would have to be here doing this and talking to you and thanking you for your support to stop Michael Woodmansee from being released into our society. Justice was not served properly 28 years ago, and I hope that justice is done properly now with the new legislation that we will have. Get rid of this new behavior release, so that he won't get out sooner. The criminals like this should never be let out anyway, to begin with. He is a child killer. Remember that. That's what he is. That's what he fantasized about. He planned and fantasized killing my son, and that's like they told me, that's in his DNA. He will do this again. We have got to protect our children. This is why I am so scared, I am so nervous. If he is released, what we are going to have to do to keep our children protected from him. He had ruined the lives of everyone in Rhode Island and throughout the country because of this heinous act. Our children are no longer safe like they should be. They can no longer play like they could play years ago. We have to watch them constantly. We have to be very vigilant with our children. But if he is released, we are damn well going to be vigilant of our children. So please do what you can to help us all stop this from happening. Thank you.
I also want to call up Tom Foreman, who has something for our message. Tom Foreman, a round of applause.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming out this evening. This is something my girlfriend wrote, and it's titled The Ripple Effect. In every person's life, there are events that happen to cause change in the world around it, similar to the way a rock causes ripples to cascade through the entire pond when it is tossed into the center. The events of September 11th, 2001 are a perfect example of how groups of terrorists can bring about sweeping change all over the world. Because of that one incident, it became much tougher to fly, and everything a person took with them was scrutinized to death after that. Not that we wanted it to be. After all, we wanted to be safe. We needed to feel safe, and we still do. I was raised on the ocean in Narragansett, Rhode Island, a really happy place to be as a kid. We went out and played, and not much care was given to things in those days back in the late 60s and early 70s. You went out, found your friends, and you were told to be back by dinner. And if you were not, there was hell to pay. That was the life as a kid in those days. You were out climbing trees, pushing through brambles, tearing up your jeans, and going to Papa's for penny candy. It was all good. Then, in 1975, everything changed. Jason Foreman disappeared, and so did the freedom of being a kid. We could no longer walk out the door anymore and look for our friends without being drilled like a new recruit in the Army. There had to be a destination. Where are you going? How long will you be there? Who will be with you? Will a parent be there? When will you be home? Just as suddenly, the kids in our family
all had watches. I want you home by 5 p.m. sharp. That was the last thing you heard before you walked out the door. And it was not just my family. The same thing was happening all over the area. Parents were scared for their kids. There was a huge hunt for a lost child and nobody could find him. We all know what he looked like. We had seen his picture on the news night after night. We all kept an eye out for him for the longest time. When we were out playing with our friends, everyone did. The stone had been thrown in the southeast corner of the Ocean State. The ripples felt more like waves from a Category 4 hurricane. Eventually, years later, they found Jason and what had happened to him. And the terrible creature that had taken and killed him was sentenced to 40 years in prisons for what he did. Not nearly long enough, in my opinion. After all, Jason's life and the lives of his family members were not the only ones he managed to ruin that day. What Michael Woodmansee did that day affected all the kids in the area. You have to remember, in 1975, Narragansett and South Kingstown were so small that Narragansett didn't even have a high school yet. The kids went to North or South Kingstown depending upon what end of town they lived. So when Jason vanished, it hit everyone in those towns and all of the neighboring ones alike. Ones like a ton of bricks falling on us. If parents could have low-jacked all of our shoes back in 1975 the way parents can today, I am certain we would all have been bugged. After that, After that, and all of our parents would have had our every trace moved online. As it was safety in numbers, the more the better, and no one was allowed to straggle off alone, much like today. Today we try to foster independence in our kids. We want them to think they're all grown up and to feel like they could do things on their own because they're old enough to walk down the street to their friend's house alone or up to the corner store with a friend. Yet soon as they're on their way to a friend's house, we're on the phone to let that mom know he or she is on the way, or we are watching the clock until they come back from the store. And we can breathe easily again. All of this because I remember so clearly that Jason's attacker lived only a couple of doors away from him. And he wasn't found out for years. So please tell me, what on God's green earth that could ever make anyone in the prison system think that such a nightmare as this person, and I use the word lightly, should ever be loose in society again?
Never.
How could they even consider letting such an atrocity anywhere near civilization? Come on, people, this is where our children play. Will someone in the system please find a grain of common sense? I don't care how well somebody behaves while they're in prison. Isn't that what prison's for, to keep these monsters in the proverbial closet? These monsters are just like leopards in the jungle. They are not going to change their spots, folks. So let's face facts. If we let this one back into the jungle, we are only looking for another missing kid or more. And for one, I don't want it to be mine. So let's get on the bandwagon and keep this monster in his cage where he belongs. If we don't, we could be looking at another horrifying event with life-altering circumstances for who knows how many this time. Thank you.
How you doing? That was one of the foremen.
Thank you, Tom. Let's give him a round of applause.
That's his wife right there. I think that's
Folks, it is time for our state leaders to listen to the people of Rhode Island and do what is in our best interests. And it is time to show some leadership. This is evil. We need the Attorney General and the Governor and those in power to step forward show some leadership, and protect the children of Rhode Island. Now, one of the people, he's the chairman who helped put this together, Protecting Children, in memory of Jason Foreman. I'd like Patrick Mannix to please come up to the podium, and a round of applause for Patrick Mannix.
Thank you. Jason Foreman. I've known his name my whole life. I was only 3 when he... Jason Foreman. Is that better? Okay. I have known his name my whole life. I was only 3 when he disappeared. I don't remember that day, and I don't remember the search, but I do remember its impact. My parents were virtually obsessed with talking to me and my brothers about not talking to strangers. The parents of everyone I knew shared this fear, as did all of our teachers. I remember talking in school to my little classmates about Jason, our hope that he might be found, our fear that we might disappear too. It affected different children in different ways. One little girl used to look out her window every night before falling asleep to see if the boogeyman who took Jason Foreman was in her yard. So many never gave up hope that one day Jason would be found. And all those years went by, and we prayed for that day to come. I do remember, and I always will, when I first heard that Jason had been found. For half a moment, I thought a prayer had been answered. Actually, a nightmare was about to get worse. We learned of the box and of the journal. My 7-year-old brother and I learned that the boogeyman all of us little kids had feared was actually real, and he was alive. His name was Michael Woodmansee, and he was worse than anything we could have imagined. He was more evil than anything anyone had imagined. What happened to Jason Douglas Foreman was horrific, and it was awful. It was a tragedy, but it was not an accident. Woodmansee did this. He killed Jason. He was only caught because he was trying to kill again. There is a serial nature to Woodmansee's depraved acts. We are dealing with great evil, innate evil, which is why he must stay locked up. I believe with all my heart that this can be done. I'm not giving up hope. We are Rhode Islanders, and this is America. I know that if we all come together, including all our politicians, psychiatrists, judges, lawyers, and others, we can figure out a way to keep Woodmansee locked up. If ever there was a time for a special dispensation, a one-time only exception, this is it. This man needs to be locked up until the day he dies. I know that there is an evaluation, legal loophole, executive order, some or all of the above, or something else entirely, which will enable us to keep Woodmansee locked up until the day he dies. Justice demands this. The safety of our communities and every child, those we love and those we don't even know, requires this. It is the right thing to do, and we must do it. We cannot allow more loss of life, greater tragedy. It is especially meaningful that Mr. Foreman is here today. May God bless him and all the Foreman family, all the Sherman family, and everyone here today. And may God continue to bless Jason Foreman.
Amen. Thank you.
Everyone, if we could just take a moment until John comes back up and we move forward, just to take a moment of silence for Jason as well as his mother, Joyce, who passed away too young. Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause. Patrick Mannix. Excellent, Patrick. Folks, for planning purposes, because of the weather, we're actually going to cut our gathering a little short today. But right now I want to bring to the podium, he's a fighter for the people of Rhode Island. We are in his district. Let's give a round of applause. He's good enough to come. Representative Peter Palumbo.
I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. This is such a tough position because the last thing I want to do is make a political spectacle out of this. I've seen that happen, especially during the fire that we had in West Warwick, and it became a rally, a rally for, not for the right cause, but this, I'm honored to be speaking here today because it touched me. I'm a father now of two boys, 9 and 11, and to be a parent and to see this travesty that could possibly happen, there's no excuse for it, and we have to do everything humanly possible to keep this. I don't even want to call him an animal because that's not fair to animals to call this guy an animal.
Right.
But as Johnny has told you in the past, I put Megan's Law in years ago, 15 years ago, they looked at me like I had 3 heads, because it's not until a tragedy happens like this that they realize you're not cracked. We're not, to protect our kids, we need to do everything humanly possible to protect our children. They don't have rights. Any human being that violates a child in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion, has lost any right. They don't have rights anymore. There's nothing more innocent than children. Me being a Christian, I look back and the Blessed Mother always appears to children. There's a reason for that, because they haven't been tainted yet. They're so innocent, and to take that, there's nothing worse than that. So right now, there's a bill in the House that I sponsored it's called the Adam Walsh Act, and it's named after John Walsh's son, Adam. We need to continue this, what we have here today. We got to take it to the State House and let the people know that last year passed the House, got in the Senate, and died in committee, wouldn't even come out for a vote. Now that's just absolutely unconscionable. Well, as a matter of fact, I see Representative Caprio, who is the chairman of Judiciary, and he came out of your committee. So I want to thank you, David. It died in the Senate committee. So we need to get up there and we need to look on this stuff. And I'm sure that Johnny will keep everybody in the loop. But we need your help because we don't want to be reactive anymore. This is a reactive. This is so sad. It's a travesty. We can't let this happen again. So we need to keep fighting. And I want to thank everybody here. And I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry for what happened. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You got to notify. Well, on that bill, I don't even want it to get to the point because what we did in the Adam Walsh Act, which I'm sponsoring, The Attorney General's going to put an amendment on the end of it to make sure he's covered. But that's only if he gets out. It means we're going to be able to find out where he is and track him. We don't want him out. So this guy cannot come out. So
No release.
exactly, no release, no release. I'm 100% right. So I'm hoping it doesn't get there. Yes, we're putting that in on my bill. That's what we're doing. We're putting that in so he's covered, because right now he's not covered anymore because it happened prior to '96.
What about this one? We need to get this one taken care of all by itself, and any future ones will take care of that.
We can't let him out.
But we have to get this
Absolutely.
one staying inside.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, she is exactly right, ma'am. You're exactly right. The message for this afternoon is he cannot be let out. And again, whether it be the governor or the attorney general, our state leaders, our message is loud and it is clear. No early release. 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 Give yourselves a round of applause this afternoon. So folks, because of the weather, I know everyone's a little cold, it's a little wet, but we wanted to take our message right here, not at the State House, right here, so the governor and the attorney general and our leaders can see that the community is right here, watching and waiting what they do, and we demand they take action on this matter. Now, if Steve DiNuccio is here, Patrick Mannix, is he? He is not. All right. Folks, again, I want to recognize the Sherman family that came out this afternoon and showed tremendous courage. I'd like a round of applause to the Sherman family. The Foreman family that has stepped forward and shown courage. We will not let this man down, this family down. We owe it to the community. We owe it to the children. We're not going away. Our message is clear. It's time to do something. No early release. 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 Thank you. We're going to stay on this. Everybody get warm. Stay dry. Thank you for coming. It's not over. We're still with it.
Thank you for your support, and Jason, we love you.
John, thank you, sir. Hey. Full support. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Josh.
Hi. How you doing?
Just for a quick moment, we can just speak with you about today and play for this guy. One more channel I think is about to walk over, so instead of having you re-say everything,
okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Let's make sure that they're coming, or? You know what, I'm not sure where she is. She's probably going to wander in. She'll come in just a second, place then. Just for a moment, what was today like for you, just to be up there knowing there's a lot of support out here?
Well, I got to tell you, again, I got to repeat, I never thought this day would come. I didn't think there was no need for this day to come. Justice wasn't done right the first time, and that's why we're here now, to make sure justice is done right. To see people come out here in this rain and this cold day today, and to make sure that justice is done, to protect their children, to protect the children in this community, is wonderful today.
Get over on me, Elizabeth. No question, this is an uphill battle to try to see if you can get him to stay in there, would you say?
That's absolutely correct. It is an uphill battle. He can be released in August, as everyone knows, and be on the street. And we have no idea where he is when he is on the street, because he doesn't have to report to anybody. And that's going to make it more dangerous for our children.
Mr. Foreman, what's your greatest concern going forward with this? Is it that he might do something to another child?
That's my biggest fear. I don't want him out, because I know that this will happen again. He will try to do this again. That's what he's fantasized about years ago, and I'm sure all this time in prison he's fantasized about it again. That is my biggest fear, that some other child will be killed in a horrible way. And we can't let that happen. I can't let that happen. That's why I'm willing to stop him whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to stop him. I look at children all the time. They're so precious, they're so young, they're so innocent. They don't deserve to have an animal out on the street that could, a predator that could take and kill them. They don't deserve that. They need to be protected from that. And I'm going to make sure our children are protected.
Your comments on the radio obviously were heard around the world. Is that something you still think about now?
I got to tell you, it's not the right way to think in God's eyes. However, I got my own eyes. I gotta protect our children. So I don't want to have to do that because I believe in God. But I have mixed emotions on it. I do not know what I'm going to end up doing. I really do not know.
Mr. Foreman, if he's released, what might you do that first day in terms of just your, what's your feeling?
Again, I don't know. I'm scared for our children. That's all I can tell you. I'm scared for our children. I can't hear you.
I said, what about the support you've seen here today? There's a lot of people there in the rain to stand by you.
We would have more support if the weather wasn't bad, I know, but this was great, the support we did have. Very great.
Why do you think so many people want to help you or to stand by you?
They want to protect their children. That's what it is, They want to protect their children, and this is where they got to start at.
What's the message been from those supporting you? And what are they telling you?
They'll do anything they can to help me. That's their message. They'll do anything they can.
Are you hoping the governor will step in or someone else to do a one-time kind of situation with this as opposed to changing the law completely?
Well, I don't know what the governor can do. He hasn't done much anyway to begin with. But anyhow, we have some good lawmakers. I know we do, and they're working on it. So we'll see what happens.
What do you think about the legislation that's currently in the General Assembly right now?
Well, Eric, would you like to answer that for me? What is happening with the new legislation?
Well, being heard tonight.
Yeah, the legislation is before the Judiciary Committee, as I understand it. We've had conversations about the nature of the package that was submitted on behalf of the Attorney General by Senator and Representatives Cisnowski and Tanzi. It's a good start. There's a lot more that could be inclusive in that bill. This really should be a time that we finally take a look at things and do away with good time for all violent offenders. It's fine for the nonviolent. But for people out there committing robberies, people out there driving drunk and killing people, as well as obviously the kind of detestable acts that were committed by this monster, Michael Woodmansee, good time just can't continue to exist in the fashion that it does. We've got parole. That's enough of incentive for prisoners to behave.
And I know the law couldn't be retroactive to apply to Mr. Woodmansee, but do you feel like it would still make an impact? It would still provide some comfort to informants?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a lot, John, the family and I, and this is something positive to focus on, because right now there's just so much negative. The positive things are the kind of support that was shown here today on a really miserable weather, and the positive thing can also be that maybe in the future someone else doesn't become a victim because of the swinging door of our prisons.
Excuse me, sir. Did you just put driving drunk and child killers in the same category?
No, people who drive under the influence and kill someone, DUI death resulting. It's another aspect that we should consider in not providing good time to. They're already eligible for parole at a third of their sentence. Enough is enough.
Bury them.
All right.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All of a sudden I got in the middle of it.
It's like a handful, yeah.
Why don't you get out of here?
Lift it off the hands. Hey, how you doing?
My husband, though,
Thank you for all you're doing.
Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. How are you? Doing okay? Hanging in there? Hey, Randy.
Hey, Dorian. Good to see you.
How are you? Johnny. Remember that? No.